Welcome to Greg Hansen's Video Notebook. I'm Star Sports Editor Ryan Finley, here with Greg Hansen. GH news is a couple of days old, but I think it's worth digging into right now. Rich Rod did the popular and I think ambitious thing, hiring Chuck Cecil for some sort of assistant coach's role that I can't necessarily define, except that it has to do with analysis and personnel. The short version of a long story is he is an Arizona Wildcat again and part of the staff. What'd you make of the hire?
Everybody benefits by his association.
Right.
The community, I don't know how long it lasts, the homecoming thing, but it sure made an impact for a couple of days, didn't it?
Absolutely. To me, what's interesting is Chuck Cecil is the living embodiment of the hard edge thing that Rich Rod talks about, right? And you had a great note in last Sunday that was Arizona's identity for 20 years, which was they don't have all the best players, but they're going to outwork you. Can something like that rub off on a team in such a short time span?
No, I don't. I think no chance in a short time.
Okay.
And I hate that word culture, but that has to be developed. They don't have it. They don't even have close to having it now.
Right.
And who knows what Chuck is allowed to do? And did Rich Rod hire him just to be window dressing?
I don't know. Well, it's funny. You know, NCAA rules really limit what those support staff guys can do. I wonder, Chuck, I mean, here's the thing. We're talking about Chuck Cecil here like it was a nice alumni hire. Chuck Cecil was a defensive coordinator in the NFL. Yeah. I'm sure Chuck Cecil has walked in and gone, these are things that need fixing. To me, I just wonder how much influence he's going to have because this defense can use all the help they can get.
His ability to see and evaluate personnel is off the charts.
Right.
Got to be.
Right.
That's how he made his living as a player and now as a coach. And I think he'll spot things that a U of A coach doesn't spot.
Is he a guy who might get possibly promoted if things go south here? If they're,
it didn't take you long to get there.
I mean, in theory, if this defense is as bad this year as it was last year, and even if Rich Rodriguez were to somehow survive with his job, you'd think that there'd have to be a change made on defense. Is Chuck Cecil your new defensive coordinator? Is he your acting head coach if they make a head coaching change in week 8?
Unless he's waiting this year out to get back to the NFL.
Okay.
Because a lot of the NFL guys, once they're in, they never get out.
Right.
That's so rare. But then there are guys like Clancy Pendergast who bumps back and forth.
Right.
And if he does it, why not Chuck Cecil?
Right.
Especially in his hometown. Who knows if he's a head coaching type?
Right.
Why hasn't anyone sniffed at him before?
Right.
There's so many answers. I mean, there's no answers.
So many questions.
Yeah. But his presence, I saw him walk into practice Monday, and he still looks like he's 6'1", 165.
Right.
And I just went, wow, that guy might be the single best football player ever to play at this school.
Absolutely. To me, it's a no-brainer of a hire, and I was surprised maybe that it didn't happen a little bit sooner. I mean, they had to fill a couple assistant coaching jobs during the offseason.
But why not Chuck?
Right. Why not Chuck? Right.
I mean, he was out of a job at the Rams when they made 2 hires.
Sure. And for all we know, there may be things out of, I mean, maybe Chuck Cecil wanted to see if he could catch on in the NFL, and then when that didn't happen, he became available. Tell me your favorite Chuck Cecil story.
Well, of course, the favorite one is when he beat ASU at the 106-yard return. After that game, because ASU was going to they still went to the Rose Bowl. They had knocked them out of the Rose Bowl 2 years previously.
Right.
And Chuck Cecil was at the middle of all of it, the best player in the field. So after the game, we're underneath the stadium where they used to have post-game press conferences, and it's a mob of reporters in there, and it was the game of the century for Tucson.
Right.
And Bob Hurt, who was the columnist for the Republic in Phoenix, he's in a group standing by Cecil. There's 4 or 5 of us, and he comes up and he goes, "What would you tell people who say that they didn't think you could beat ASU?" And he goes, "I tell them the same thing I tell you, bleep off."
Whoa.
And he, with emphasis in his face, I mean, right here, bleep off without the bleep. I mean, I've been in these locker rooms forever, and no one's ever said that.
No.
That's the way he wore the game on his face.
What was your reaction there?
Well, I'd been around him for those 4 years, and I knew how volatile he is and what a game face he always had.
Right.
That was new. And, I mean, you can't be a homer in this business, but if I was ever a homer, it was for Chuck Cecil.
It was for Chuck Cecil. That'll do it for this episode of Greg Hansen's Video Notebook. For Greg Hansen, see, now I'm excited. This is Chuck Cecil talk, man. Gets me jacked for the football season.
I'm glad no one wears number 6 on this year's team.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. I'm Ryan Finley. We'll see you next time.